Chapter 1309. Elvis understood and gave a knowing smile. He carried Gu Meng Meng and left quickly. When they returned to their own cave, they realized that there were two more people in the house. It was Qi Xian and Kanwu, who were supposed to be in Zacharias. Gu Meng Meng was extremely surprised and overjoyed. She jumped down from Elvis's arms and hugged her two sons tightly. She grinned so widely that only her eyes could be seen. "Mom, we are here to see you." Kanwu laughed in a humming voice. Gu Meng Meng said, "Good, so good." Qi Xian just smiled and allowed Gu Meng Meng to hold his arm as they entered the stone castle. Elvis shot a look at the wild wolf, who immediately went to the meeting room to call Hada and Jiaoyu back. Once the four children returned home, Elvis and Leah could only be considered as murals. Already used to this kind of family status, Elvis could not be bothered to fight for attention with his four sons. So, Leah turned to cook while Elvis cleaned up the day's prey and arranged them neatly. "Why are the two of you here?" Gu Meng Meng sat by the bed and looked at her four sons who were seated in a circle around her. She was in a great mood. Qi Xian said, "When father-in-law came to Zacharias, he said that Mum might not have the time to visit us this year. Kanwu and I were afraid that you would miss us, so we came back to see you." As Qi Xian said, he turned to look at Kanwu and said, "Don't you have something to tell Mum?" Kanwu nodded and grinned at Gu Meng Meng with his big white teeth. "Mum, I have leveled up. Second level orc." Gu Meng Meng was overjoyed. She hugged Kanwu's head and kissed him repeatedly. "My Kanwu is so powerful." Qi Xian chuckled. "Mom, you are favoring one over the other. You didn't treat me like this when I leveled up." Upon hearing that, Gu Meng Meng pounced at him without another word. But Qi Xian caught her and said, Don't. I was just saying casually. If you really kiss me, I am afraid I won't be able to walk out of this stone castle." "Why?" Gu Meng Meng did not understand. Qi Xian glanced at the busy Elvis and Leah. "It's not like you don't know how jealous your partner is." After being teased by her sons, Gu Meng Meng pinched Qi Xuan's face without getting angry. She just returned to her original spot and smiled at her four sons. Heda rubbed his nose and said, "As the eldest, I let my younger brothers take the lead. Looks like I have to work hard too." Jiaoyu, however, looked unconcerned as he said, "Kanwu has always walked the path of brute force. It is normal for him to accumulate battle experience quickly. Don't compare yourself to him. He's just a brute." Kanwu straightened his neck and said, "Do you want to fight with this boorish fellow?" Jiaoyu smiled as he shook his head and said, "It's so boring to fight with a first-level beast like me. To the left of the door, there's a level 4 snow fox cooking. To the right of the door, there's a level 5 snake hanging on the tree. Upstairs, there's a beast king sorting out the prey. Oh, there's a female beast king sitting in front of you. If you're really capable, challenge them to a fight." Kanwu didn't back down and said, "Apart from my mother, I will definitely challenge the rest and I will definitely win." "Why apart from Mummy?" Jiaoyu smiled and asked, "Why, are you sexist?" Kanwu raised his head and said, "How is that possible? I won't discriminate against Mummy. I'm just afraid she will cry if she loses." Chapter 1310. Gu Meng Meng wrapped her arms around Elvis's neck and said proudly, "How is it? Isn't my son full of ambition?" His words were powerful and impassioned. Too manly. As long as Gu Meng Meng was happy, Elvis would naturally go along with what she said. He nodded and said, "Yeah, very imposing." Although Kanwu had always had a strained relationship with Elvis, which son did not want to receive his father's approval? So, although Elvis's compliment was mostly to please Gu Meng Meng, it was a great affirmation for Kanwu. "Kanwu, tell Mummy, how did you level up?" Gu Meng Meng asked. Kanwu glanced at Qi Xian and smiled. Oh, second brother said that in order to raise the overall strength of the tribe, he often arranged for beastmen of the same level to spar with each other. After fighting a lot, he would level up. Upon hearing that, Gu Mengmeng felt that this was a good idea. She turned to look at Leah. Before she could speak, Leah continued Gu Mengmeng's words. We can use this method back in Saint Nazaire, but not in Sauter for now. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and agreed. Sauter's three forces were all trying to suppress the other two. The previous night campfire party was so chaotic that it could almost be compared to empresses in the palace. If it was a normal sparring session, someone would die sooner or later. Gu Mengmeng nodded in agreement. Kanwa hesitated for a moment before saying to Gu Mengmeng, Mummy, there's something else I have to tell you. Gu Mengmeng looked at Kanwa's hesitant face and asked, What's wrong? Kanwa lowered his head, not daring to look at Gu Mengmeng in the eyes. He said in a small voice, What exactly happened? Kanwa had never been a wishy-washy child. This was the first time he was so timid. Gu Mengmeng's instincts told her that he was in trouble. She said worriedly, Don't worry, your daddy is here to support you. Tell me, what exactly happened? Kanwa scratched his head and said, Nothing much, it's just that I took over the stray beasts camp. Ha! Gu Mengmeng did not react for a moment. Kanwa thought to himself, since he had already done it, no matter how angry his mother was, she would not strangle him to death. Hence, he mustered up his courage and said, I have taken over the stray beasts camp. Why did you take over that place? Gu Mengmeng could not understand. Kanwa said matter-of-factly, Mother's favorite grapes are in the territory of the stray beasts. I'm not willing to see second brother pluck grapes every year as some stray beast young master, so I took over that place. Every year, Mummy, and I took over that place. Mummy, and I will go over to help you too. Kanwa nodded and replied, Us four brothers promise to be Mother's support in the future and give the best things in the world to Mother. Since that grape is Mother's favorite, I can't let it fall into someone else's hands. Mummy, I said, you, I, and King, I, and you, I, comma, you, he, you, I, and I, and Gu, you, and you just, you, and I, with, and not. Chapter 13:11. Elvis placed his large hand on Kanwa's shoulder. His gaze was solemn, determined and cautious. You did the right thing. This time, Elvis had truly acknowledged Kanwa. As a wolf, he should have the ruthlessness of a wolf. Gu Mengmeng was very kind and meticulous. This was fine as a female, but she would appear to be indecisive as a male. On the contrary, Elvis was rather satisfied with Kanwa's decision. With Qi Xian watching from the side, he did not believe that Kanwa had acted rashly. Gu Mengmeng sighed. She knew that the beast world had its own rules of conduct. Modern morals and values did not apply here. Taking by force was the right thing to do. But Gu Mengmeng could not get used to this. Then how did the stray beasts react after you took over? Since they had already done it, Gu Mengmeng was more concerned about the aftermath. Kanwa twitched his lips. It is precisely because they did not do anything that second brother said he was worried and asked me to inform Mother. That Cole is perverted and evil. I wonder what tricks he is playing behind the scenes. Second brother said his instincts told me that he is definitely plotting something against Mother. He can't even get close to me now. And even if he did, he is not my match. Moreover, I still have your father guarding me. But according to his usual style, he will either use the four of you or your mother-in-law to threaten me. Anyway, he can't come up with any new tricks. Qi Xian, who had been silent all this while, slowly opened his mouth. Mother, don't underestimate the enemy. Be careful. Gu Mengmeng nodded. She smiled and rubbed Qishuan's head. It's all right. Your daddy Leah is by my side. No matter what tricks Cole plays, he will not succeed. Qi Xian nodded. His gaze landed on Leah, who was carrying a pot and setting the table. Mother has one scholar and one warrior by her side. It can be considered foolproof. But it is easier to dodge a spear in the open than an arrow in the dark. You must be more vigilant in everything. Gu Mengmeng nodded in agreement. Leah then arranged for everyone to eat together. After the meal, Canwu and Qi Xian had to return to Zacharias. Gu Mengmeng could not bear to see them leave. They had just returned home for a meal. However, the two children said that it was an important time to store up food. They had just occupied the territory of the stray beasts' base camp. If the stray beasts were to counterattack and snatch their food, the consequences would be dire. As the spiritual leaders of the tribe, the two of them had to stay in Zacharias. Gu Mengmeng knew that what her children said made sense, so she did not force them. She just hugged them over and over again, sending them out of Sauter and walking for over 10 miles before reluctantly sending her two sons off. After sending his sons back to Sauter, a wolf beast came to report that a female snow fox was waiting for Leah at the entrance of the meeting room. Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah, who shrugged his shoulders, indicating that he did not know either. He then asked, which female snow fox? The wolf beast shook its head. I don't know him. Leah didn't know what was going on either and could only nod. Let's go, we'll know when we go back. The group of people did not return to the stone castle but went straight to the conference room. At the door of the conference room, they saw a female snow fox curled up and sitting at the door. She had a delicate and charming face with a sickly look. She looked like a willow branch swaying in the wind and looked a little like Lin Dayu. Chapter 13:12. Miranda. Leah only spat out a name, but Gu Mengmeng could hear his teeth chattering. Gu Mengmeng instinctively felt enmity towards this Miranda. Gu Mengmeng glanced at the female coldly and realized that the female was looking at Leah lovingly with her watery eyes when she heard Leah calling her name. She bit her lower lip and called out with a trembling voice, yeah. Ah yeah. Gu Mengmeng frowned. Do you want to sing a part of the Breaking the Ice March? Li's frown deepened when he heard this form of address. He immediately turned to look at Gu Mengmeng and shook his head. No matter what you are thinking, it is not what you think it is. With that, he carried Gu Mengmeng from Elvis's arms and said, let's go home first, I can explain. Leah did not even look at Miranda as he carried Gu Mengmeng and was about to leave. Miranda hurriedly stood up to pull Leah, but her legs were numb from sitting for too long. The moment she stood up, she pounced towards Leah. If Gu Mengmeng did not see wrongly, she seemed to want to tear off Li's beast-skin dress. But Leah was after all a 4th-level beast. Even if he was carrying Gu Mengmeng in his arms, he was not someone a female could casually touch. He just dodged to the side and avoided Miranda. Seeing Miranda fall to the ground pitifully, Leah did not even blink and said coldly, if you still want your claws, you better control them. My female doesn't like others touching me. With that, Leah carried Gu Mengmeng and left without looking back. Miranda lay there sobbing softly, saying in a heartbroken manner, Aya, how could you do this to me? Aya, do you know how difficult it was for me to come back to see you? Aya, Aya, Miranda's voice was not loud. It was not a hysterical cry, but a soft moan that sounded like she was muttering to herself. But Gu Mengmeng had the power of a beast king, so she could naturally hear it clearly. Damn it, this Miranda was definitely a female classmate with a story, and her story was most likely related to Leah. Back at the stone castle, Gu Mengmeng said, let go of me. Gu Mengmeng needed to stand at a place where she could look at Li's eyes to have a good discussion about Aya. But Leah was unusually stubborn as he hugged Gu Mengmeng tightly. I'm not letting go. You must have misunderstood me now. If I let go, you will run away. You have to listen to my explanation before I let go. Ah, this was the reason why Leah dared to snatch Gu Mengmeng from Elvis's arms. He was extremely afraid that Gu Mengmeng would misunderstand and run away, disappearing from his world. I won't run, let go of me first, Gu Mengmeng said. Leah shook his head. Mengmeng, it's enough that we had that misunderstanding with Nina. I was really afraid that you would get angry and abandon me again. You would say that you would never see me again, that there was only you and me and no us. I was also afraid that once I let go of you, I would see you frowning, cry, jump into the lake and say that the beast world is not good at all, that you don't like it here, don't like me. Mengmeng, I'm really afraid. Don't struggle, let me hug you like this, I beg you. Every word and sentence of Lee's was like grinding his heart into cinnabar. He raised his pen and wrote on his lips, making Gu Mengmeng's heart ache. That self-directed misunderstanding was her emotional wound, but wasn't it also a dead knot for him? Chapter 13:13. With Gu Mengmeng's current abilities, if she really wanted to struggle free, Leah would not be able to hold her at all. Sighing, Gu Mengmeng gave up struggling and allowed Leah to hug her tightly as he wished he could rub her into his body. I won't struggle free, tell me. What's the matter with Aya? Leah felt Gu Mengmeng's obedience and his heart was no longer in a mess. He tried to loosen his grip a little and seeing that she really did not push him away, he finally calmed down and heaved a heavy sigh of relief. He said slowly, Miranda is my father's concubine. When Cole schemed against me, it was on her bed. Gu Mengmeng felt as if she was struck by lightning, charred on the outside and tender on the inside. Feeling Gu Mengmeng's abnormality, Leah was at a loss. He said, in this world, anyone can misunderstand me, no matter how bad they describe me, it doesn't matter. Only you can't. Gu Mengmeng, you said before that you believe me. Nothing happened between Miranda and me, I'm really innocent. Gu Mengmeng hesitated for a moment, but still reached out to gently touch Lee's back. She said, I know, I believe you. Your mating mark is on my left ear, of course there's nothing between us. Upon hearing that, Leah nodded his head heavily. He first kissed Gu Mengmeng's left ear. Gu Mengmeng could feel that his lips were trembling and even his breathing was vibrating. With the joy of surviving a calamity, Leah then dared to let go of Gu Mengmeng slightly. He held onto her shoulders with both hands and distanced himself from her. He peeked at Gu Mengmeng's expression secretly. Yes, ever since Miranda appeared, Leah had been hugging Gu Mengmeng tightly in his arms. He did not dare to look at her face at all, afraid that there would be disdain and disgust, suspicion on her face. Luckily you believe me. Leah said this with extreme helplessness. Gu Mengmeng looked up at Leah and said, I believe you are innocent, and even if something happened between you and Miranda, I believe that you did not do it willingly and was schemed against by Cole. I will not push the blame on you for Cole's crimes, after all, you are also a victim. No, there's really nothing, Leah explained nervously. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Yeah, I said I believe you. Leah pursed his lips, his eyes filled with caution. Miranda's incident was the biggest stain on his life. Regardless of what had happened, regardless of whether he had been framed by Cole, the fact that he had once appeared in another female's bed had already made him guilty of a crime that deserved to die 1,000 times over. He was extremely afraid that Gu Mengmeng would mind this matter, and also extremely afraid that Gu Mengmeng would abandon him because of this, so when Miranda appeared, Leah froze. Leah asked, then why aren't you smiling? You. Gu Mengmeng sighed, she really could not smile. In the past, she did not understand why Leah called her Meng Meng, Elvis called her Xiao Meng, and Snake called her Tu Meng. But after inheriting Snake's memories, she understood that the beast world had a special meaning for addressing one another. A female could have more than one partner. They couldn't get a complete love, so they wanted a complete title. It was a little self-deceiving, but it was a comfort to the soul. For example, everyone who had no special relationship with her would call her the Great Messenger or Gu Meng Meng. So Gu Meng Meng was the messenger of the beast deity that belonged to the entire beast world. And Xiao Meng was a Xiao Meng that belonged to Elvis alone. Chapter 13:14. Tu Meng, on the other hand, was the Tu Meng that belonged to Snake alone. Even if they were the same person, because of the difference in their names, there would be a difference in the male's heart. So, Gu Meng Meng really minded the fact that Miranda had a nickname for Leah. She did not even call Leah Aya, so what right did Miranda have to call him that? I mind Miranda. Gu Meng Meng said straightforwardly, why did she call you Aya? What was the relationship between the two of you in the past? I can see that her attitude towards you is not like an elder to a junior, but more like a woman's admiration, infatuation, and unattainable desire towards a man. Don't try to deny it, I recognized her expression just now. It was the same expression on my face when you were fooling around with Nina. You can ask Elvis if you don't believe me. Leah was most afraid of Gu Mingming's cold violence. She did not speak or ignore him, not even giving him a chance to explain or coax her. That was the most torturous. Now, she was like a machine gun in an overbearing manner, which made Leah feel at ease. As long as she was willing to ask, she was giving him a chance to explain, at least to prove that she did not intend to abandon him. His heart gradually returned to his chest. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's brow gently and said in a hoarse voice, "My darling, thank you." This. Gu Mengmeng was just about to start a big fight with Leah, but the moment the fire was ignited, it was extinguished by Lee's gentle words. The anger in her chest was instantly reduced by half. Facing Lee's humble and doting smile, Gu Mengmeng could not bring herself to be ruthless, and the lines on her face softened. She pushed Leah and said, "What are you thanking me for? Don't think of bluffing your way out of this easily, I am quarreling with you here." Leah smiled as he placed Gu Mengmeng on the bed. He sat on the floor and propped one hand on the edge of the bed outside of Gu Mingming's thighs, while the other hand held Gu Mingming's little hand and played with it. He looked up at Gu Mengmeng and placed himself in a lower position than her. He smiled and said, "How can I bear to quarrel with you? Scold me if you feel uncomfortable, I will listen. I'll explain it to you after you're done scolding and vented your anger, okay?" Seeing Leah in this state, Gu Mengmeng felt as though she had punched cotton. She was hysterical, but he smiled and said, "You look so good scolding me." With that, Leah transformed into his beast ears and flapped his wings twice. He lowered his head in front of Gu Mengmeng and laid on her thighs gently, saying, "If you're still angry, then pull my ears. I won't dodge or dodge, I'll let you pull until you're appeased, alright?" Gu Mengmeng looked at the pair of white and furry fox ears and the thick and clean big tail behind Leah. At that moment, she could not even let out her anger. "What you're saying makes it sound like I'm being unreasonable and unreasonable." As Gu Mengmeng spoke, she could not help but touch Lee's ears. She did not reject the tail that Leah carefully placed in her arms and hugged it with her other hand. Damn it, this damned furry fetish was really a bad habit. Glaring at Leah, he cursed in his heart, acting cute is shameful, but it's really F***ing useful. Chapter 13:15. You don't need to be reasonable. In my eyes, you are the reason. Leah rubbed his cheek against hers before flipping himself onto the bed. He laid on the side of the bed and used Gu Mingming's thighs as a pillow. He looked at Gu Mengmeng affectionately with his slanted eyes and said, "Mengmeng, I have only done 2 wrong things to you in my entire life. One is to act in that drama with Nina to make you sad, the other is to appear on Miranda's bed. Other than that, I have not done anything else to make you sad. Trust me, alright?" Gu Mingming's anger had long been dispersed by Lee's sugar-coated bullets. His endless indulgence and pampering made Gu Mengmeng unable to vent her anger. So she could only nod as a reply. Leah placed Gu Mingming's little hand by his lips and kissed it before continuing, I will tell you everything you want to know without hiding anything. You can be angry, you can throw a tantrum at me, you can hit me or scold me. You can even ask Elvis to bite me to death, but you must never say that you want to abandon me, do you understand? Gu Mengmeng raised her brows and squinted her eyes. Is there anything between you and Miranda that will make me want to abandon you out of anger? Leah shook his head and said, the most disgusting thing is appearing on her bed. Really? Gu Mengmeng was skeptical. Leah smiled bitterly and reached out to touch Gu Mingming's left ear, saying, I have already given you my chastity, what are you still doubting? Gu Mengmeng thought about it and said with a cold face, you liked her before. Leah was so infuriated by Gu Mengmeng that he laughed out loud. He shook his head helplessly and caressed Gu Mingming's face, saying, before meeting you, I did not know what liking was. After meeting you, how could I like someone else? Gu Mengmeng suppressed the smile on her lips. The atmosphere of quarreling was long gone, but Gu Mengmeng was not going to give Leah a good look without clarifying the matter regarding Miranda. So she straightened her neck and said, don't try to fool me with sweet words. If you don't tell me clearly what happened between you and Miranda, I will not let you off. Leah nodded and replied, I will tell you, everything. Sitting up, Leah opened his arms wide and said, Mengmeng, you know that the memories of my childhood are a form of torture to me. Only with you in my arms can I have the courage to face those unbearable times. No matter how angry you are, hug me, I really need you now. Gu Mengmeng did not say anything and just shifted her body into Li's arms. The corners of Li's lips curved up slightly as he rested his chin on the top of Gu Mingming's head. With a gentle gaze, he said, my Gu Mengmeng, please, please, please don't abandon me. Without you, I don't know what will happen to me. Chapter 13:16. My partner will choose one of them, the other two will be chosen by my big brother, and the remaining three will be arranged by someone else. It was as if Leah was talking about someone else's matters. He spoke slowly and tirelessly, Miranda is one of the three females. You've also met the other one, Jillian, who was imprisoned by Cole. She's Cole's ex-partner. The last one is Lisa, my big brother's partner. Gu Mengmeng was a little confused. Didn't he say that the three females were prepared for Leah? How did one become his father's concubine, one became the partner of the eldest highness, and one became Cole's exclusive property? Leah smiled as he played with Gu Mingming's fingers, as if he had seen through her confusion. Without waiting for her to speak, he directly replied, you may not believe me, but I have always kept myself chaste for you. Gu Mengmeng raised her eyebrows, her face clearly saying, keep making things up. Leah brought Gu Mingming's little hand to his lips and kissed it, saying, among the witch doctors in the Snow Fox tribe, I am the most gifted. So I managed to predict many things that my father's generation could not predict. And things that my father and the rest could not understand, I could somehow understand. I know that the messenger of the beast deity is about to descend, and I can even predict the approximate location, but these I have never told anyone. Gu Mengmeng knew about this. Elvis had told her before that when Leah chose the location for Saint Nazaire, he did not choose it randomly, but used the lake that she had transmigrated from as the center point, and expanded the area in all directions. He was waiting for the arrival of the messenger of the beast deity, and with the goal of keeping the messenger of the beast deity in Saint Nazaire, he had been cultivating a rapport with Elvis, learning from each other's strengths to make up for his weaknesses. Leah pinched Gu Mingming's little face, saying, since young, I have known that the person I will mate with is the messenger of the beast deity, so I naturally have to keep my chastity. But I can't tell anyone about this beforehand, because only when the information is sealed, can I gain an absolute advantage. When I meet you, I can crush all the other pursuers, and become your favorite vixen. A crafty look flashed across Li's eyes, and he smiled, continuing, in order to hide my own motives, I could only allow those old fellows from the Elders' Council to arrange for these 3 females to stay by my side. To put it nicely, they were childhood sweethearts, but in my eyes, they were just 3 troublemakers that kept sticking to me. In order to hide from them, I hid in the secret room every day to study the secret book or to learn witchcraft from my father. With my talent and hard work, my achievements in the witch doctor world came from this. Unfortunately, my avoidance and coldness didn't wake them up, nor did it make them disheartened. Instead, it made their fighting spirit even more aroused. Endless tricks, hundreds of pestering, it really made it hard for me to deal with them. Looking at their eyes that were getting hotter and hotter day by day, I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles, feeling more and more danger, so... Chapter 13-17. Thinking of this, Leah face-bombed. Clearly, he still felt that it was a huge problem. Sighing, he continued, I trusted Cole too much at that time, so I didn't have any suspicions. Now that I think about it, why can't I figure it out? Miranda knew about this, Cole must have told her. I guess. Cole had already been plotting it at that time, a scheme to drag me down from the pedestal of the beloved child and into the mud. I thought I was smart then, to actually seek help from the mastermind. Cole must have been very pleased at that time, laughing at my stupidity in his heart. I paid the price for my stupidity, and ended up with the crime of having an affair with my father's beast concubine, becoming an outcast. No one believed that I was innocent, after all. I was caught red-handed in bed. Gu Meng Meng frowned and said, I don't understand, Miranda was already so devoted to you, how did she become your father's concubine? And, your father already has a partner, why would he and Miranda, that? Li's gaze focused on Gu Mingming's face and he said, this is the reason why I was afraid you would abandon me. Gu Mengmeng didn't understand and just looked at Leah quietly, waiting for his explanation. The males in the beast world will not have intercourse with females other than their partners, but the Snow Fox tribe is an exception. Leah laughed sarcastically, his voice hollow as he said, the Messenger's tribe is so noble and mysterious in the eyes of outsiders, but who would know that the Messenger's tribe does not allow outsiders to enter, just to hide this dirty secret. The females of the Snow Fox tribe will go into estrus once every few years, and Sauter's secret underground tunnel is used for this. What? Gu Mengmeng was confused. Once the females of the Snow Fox tribe go into estrus, the fox seductive fragrance will spread everywhere. To prevent the fragrance from spreading, all the females will enter the underground tunnel at this time. For a month, they will mate like wild beasts, without reason. Although the males of the Snow Fox clan had a certain degree of resistance to the fox seductive fragrance, the high-purity fox seductive fragrance in a sealed environment coupled with the infatuated seduction of the females meant that the males' bottom line was to not touch their mother and daughters. Other than that, they mate indiscriminately. Gu Mingming's hair stood on end and she was speechless. Leah reached out and tapped Gu Mingming's brows, saying, every time this happens, I will run out of solder and hide in the forest. I'll hide in the deep mountains and forests to protect your chastity. Gu Mengmeng touched Li's ears and praised, well done. Leah chuckled. Miranda got entangled with my beast father during a mass estrus. I don't know the specific details, but I do know that after that mass estrus, my beast father became obsessed with Miranda. Miranda, who had ended her estrus period, wanted to break free from my beast father's entanglement, but was imprisoned by my beast father. I heard that during that period of time, she cried out my name every night, hoping that I would save her. Perhaps she was pitiful, but it was a good thing for me. I made, at, father, and and said. Father, at. Chapter 13-19. The dirtier and dirtier the inside, the more they want to look noble and bright on the surface. Mass estrus is Sauter's biggest secret. To cover up this secret, they tried their best to portray the Snow Fox tribe as pure and holy, seeking a noble and empty reputation in the beast world. They carried out their despicable deeds with an air of arrogance. Gu Mengmeng was stunned for a moment before saying, "So, they want to be whores while maintaining a chastity." Leah nodded and said, "Yeah, something like that." Gu Mengmeng remained silent for a moment before asking again, "Leah, let me ask you. In the past mass estrus incidents, did anything like what happened between your father and Miranda? Did they not interact much in the past and suddenly become stubborn after one round of pleasure?" Leah shook his head and said, "Who can tell who is who in a mass estrus situation? They just don't have any rationality and don't want to vent their beastly desires. Most of them are fine after coming out and can't even tell who is the person they have been with for a month. Who would suddenly become stubborn?" Gu Mengmeng nodded and bit her lower lip lightly as she fell into deep thought. Leah looked into Gu Mengmeng's eyes and asked, "What are you thinking about?" Gu Mengmeng was brought back to her senses by Leah. She hesitated for a moment before continuing, "Do you think your father's sudden stubbornness towards Miranda could be Cole's doing?" Leah frowned and his brain was working furiously. His eyes lit up and he said, "You mean the bewitching spell?" Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, "Under normal circumstances, it is very difficult for a high-level witch doctor like your father to fall for it. But mass estrus happened in an airtight environment like the secret tunnel, so the purity of the fox's seductive fragrance must be unprecedentedly high. As long as the timing is right, the success rate of casting the bewitching spell is very high. This is the only way to explain why your father suddenly became interested in the partner he had originally arranged for you and was so stubborn to lock her up and make her his." Leah nodded in agreement. Suddenly, he smiled and said, "So my beast father's death was not caused by him vomiting blood after seeing me and Miranda having an affair. It was because of the bewitching spell. I only know that I am innocent, but I never thought that I have been carrying the blame for Cole all these years." "You've never thought about it?" Gu Mengmeng was a little surprised. By right, with Lee's intelligence, there was no reason he could not think of this. Leah shook his head and said, "I knew it was Cole who set me up, but I did not think about Beast Father's death. I really thought that I had angered Beast Father to death and felt guilty for many years." Gu Mengmeng patted Lee's shoulder lightly and said, "It's all in the past, don't think about it anymore." Leah chuckled and pinched Gu Mengmeng's little face. Chapter 13:20. Then how do you plan to deal with it? Gu Mengmeng asked softly. Leah grinned at Gu Mengmeng and said, "Do you know how afraid I am that you will misunderstand me? I definitely don't want to be involved in such scandals. I will contact the other tribes later and use Miranda to exchange for some food before winter." Gu Mengmeng frowned and said, "Usually, don't only females who have committed a grave mistake will be traded to the other tribes as goods? Will the Snow Fox tribe agree to it, if you deal with Miranda like this?" "Probably not." Leah chuckled and said, "Now the Snow Fox tribe, Wolf tribe and the 16 tribes are in a stalemate, each with their own territory. Gialia's little trick at the night campfire helped the 16 tribes to come out on top, and Elvis also led the Wolf tribe to show off his prowess during the food storage hunt. If I trade Miranda as a commodity at this time, it will undoubtedly be a slap to the Snow Fox tribe's face. Those old fellows will not let it go so easily." "Then you still," Leah smiled with his eyes squinted. He wrapped one arm around Gu Mengmeng's neck and pulled her in front of him. He kissed her eyes and said, "No matter how troublesome the situation is, it can't be compared to you frowning to make me feel helpless. As long as I don't make things difficult for you, what does other people's reputation have to do with me? If they are unhappy, don't acknowledge me as the Ninth Highness. I did not beg them to acknowledge me as their ancestor. It was them who refused to let go of me, the messenger's partner, and insisted on getting close to me." Gu Mengmeng held Lee's face and kissed him on the lips. She said, "Why don't I be the bad guy and say that I am jealous and cannot tolerate Miranda? I want to see who dares to criticize me." Leah shook his head and said, who would push their own female out to be the scapegoat? If you become the bad guy, Elvis and I will not be able to face anyone in the future. Moreover, it was my intention. If I dare to do it, I am not afraid to admit it. Only when I personally give this order can I prove that I have no evil intentions towards Miranda. No matter what intentions she has, I will wake her up as soon as possible. I did not save her that year and I will not care about her life now. I'm afraid it's too late. Elvis, who had been silent all along, leaned against the door and said softly. Leah and Gu Mengmeng both looked up at him in confusion. Elvis said, the wild wolf I left behind to watch over Miranda has just reported that Miranda has already met with the elders of the Snow Fox clan. So fast. Leah frowned and straightened his back. He was stunned for 2 seconds before he smiled. That's true. Cole's plan is not something I can reject easily. It doesn't matter. Since acting first and reporting later won't work, then I'll just bully others with my power. Let me go with you? Gu Mengmeng asked. Leah nodded. You naturally have to accompany me when I'm dealing with Miranda's matter. Just in case there's a situation where I can't explain myself clearly and someone tries to sow discord in front of you, by then, even if you believe a word or two, it would be like stabbing a knife into my heart. Gu Mengmeng looked straight into Lee's eyes and held his hand, saying, Leah, you have to know one thing. Anyway, Miranda had already met the elders, so Leah was not in a rush. He might as well accompany Gu Mengmeng for a while longer. Only when he looked at her did he feel that life was not so terrible. Chapter 13:21. Both of you are the people I love. No matter what I hear or see, I will always choose to believe both of you at the first instance. No matter how much evidence is thrown in my face, as long as you say no, I will believe you. So don't be so cautious and fearful. I will not try to understand my lover from other people's mouths. Leah and Elvis both smiled and nodded. They kissed Gu Mengmeng's cheeks and replied gently, all right. Gu Mengmeng then nodded and said, go and settle Miranda's matter. If my presence can make you feel at ease, I will accompany you. If you are just afraid that someone will sow discord and use this as a pretext, I don't think there is a need. Leah chuckled and circled his large tail around Gu Mengmeng's waist. He said, what if I say, I want to see you be jealous because of me? Just like that time in Saint Nazaire when you fought with Nina because of me. That kind of you made me feel so blissful that I could fly. So, I feel very conflicted. On one hand, I hope that you will be jealous because of Miranda. On the other hand, I am extremely afraid that you will misunderstand our relationship. TSK, I don't even know what I want. Gu Mengmeng rolled up her sleeves and said, you want to see me fight with other females because of you? Alright, I will satisfy you. But you have to answer a question of mine first. Yeah, I will tell you everything I know. Gu Mengmeng placed her hands on her waist and said, you still haven't told me why Miranda cares about you, Aya. Gu Mengmeng emphasized the word, Aya, causing Leah to laugh out loud. He moved closer to Gu Mengmeng's ear and bit her earlobe. He said softly, because she is shameless. She actually stole the nickname that belongs to you. Gu Mengmeng, you have to snatch it back. Gu Mengmeng raised her brows and looked at the unreasonable Leah. Leah smiled in a flattering manner and said in a flirtatious manner, everything I have belongs to you, including any nickname. That Miranda took it without asking and treated it as a thief. So you never agreed to let her call you that, right? Gu Mengmeng asked. Leah nodded seriously and said, why would I allow her to give me a nickname when I'm avoiding her? All right then. Don't feel bad when we start tearing at each other. Leah kissed Gu Mengmeng's face lightly and said, I will only feel sorry for you for being tired. I don't care about other people's lives. Gu Mengmeng nodded. Let's go. The family of 3 exited the stone castle and a huge pack of wolves followed them. As usual, they stopped outside the meeting room while Leah carried Gu Mengmeng into the meeting room. In the meeting room, Miranda was sitting on the foot of Gu Mengmeng's seat, crying her heart out. A group of elders were standing 2 steps away, filled with righteous indignation. The moment Gu Mengmeng entered, she heard one of the elders consoling Miranda, "You are the precious female of our snow fox tribe, and also have the noblest bloodline. The responsibility of continuing the deity's child depends on your belly, so don't worry, no matter what, we will not let him do anything rash." Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly and said, "I wonder if the beloved child that elder is referring to is my Leah." Once Gu Mengmeng said that, the meeting room became so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. The face of the elder who had just finished speaking turned pale, obviously feeling guilty. Chapter 13:22. As if Miranda had an infectious disease, he said, "Who do you think you are? How dare you lay your hands on the seat of the tribe leader?" Miranda's shoulders shook in aggrievement as she sobbed softly. She replied with an infinitely sorrowful and pitiful tone, "Aya, you've misunderstood me. It's because I fell outside and hurt my leg, and I couldn't stand up, and I cried so hard that I fainted. That's why the elders brought me here to sit and rest. I didn't covet the seat of the chief of the tribe. How would I dare? Aya, don't be angry, I will leave immediately, all right?" As Miranda spoke, she pretended to be strong and stood up. But before she could straighten her knees, her entire body tilted to the side and she fell onto the ground again. Sob, sob. "Aya, I'm in so much pain, you're the witch doctor, can you help me? My leg, it must be hurt. Aya, can you help me up, please?" Miranda looked at Leah with watery eyes. This snow fox's seductive beauty had turned into a Lin Dayu style of crying, making her look even more pitiful. Gu Mengmeng couldn't help but applaud Miranda in her heart. She would definitely be a movie queen in the modern world. She had looks and acting skills, it would be unforgivable if she didn't win an award. This snow fox tribe, they don't care about rules anymore. They don't even care about seniority anymore, right? Gu Mengmeng had a faint smile on her face. She spoke slowly and calmly, but it made the group of elders tremble with fear. They exchanged glances and knelt down in unison. "We pay our respects to the great messenger." Actually, Gu Mengmeng had always been unwilling to let others kneel down to her, especially these old foxes. They all looked older than her grandfather and she was afraid that her life would be shortened if they knelt down to her like that. But, if the other party didn't respect their elders and took advantage of their seniority, then it would be another matter. If you don't respect yourself, then who would respect you? So you guys still know that I'm the messenger of the beast deity. I thought I had been amiable for too long and you guys had long forgotten my identity. We don't dare. The few old foxes were all shrewd, how could they not hear the sarcasm in Gu Mengmeng's words? Although they thought highly of themselves, or maybe it was because Gu Mengmeng had been too kind for too long that they had forgotten their status, but they could not ignore Miranda's matter. Hence, they temporarily put down their pride and wanted to appease Gu Mengmeng first. Gu Mengmeng glanced at Miranda from the corner of her eyes. Still maintaining her elegant smile, she asked, "You don't worship me because you don't have me in your eyes, or because you don't even care about the beast deity?" This accusation was a little too heavy. However, his father had said that he would be a fool not to rely on such a big backer. As his biological daughter, she should not rely on her father to bully others. No, it's not like that. Miranda only, because she was injured. Miranda looked like a weak little white flower, like a pitiful female lead who was bullied by an evil mother-in-law in Chiangya dramas. She crawled towards Gu Mengmeng miserably, her hands crossed on the ground and her forehead touched the back of her hands. She bowed to Gu Mengmeng like an ancient woman meeting an emperor. Her voice was filled with the tone of a submissive little girl. Miranda from the Snow Fox tribe greets the great messenger. Chapter 1323. Gu Mengmeng didn't ask everyone to get up and just smiled. She didn't look angry at all but pressured the old fox from the Snow Fox clan and Miranda so much that they couldn't breathe. She waved her hands and said, "Leah, put me down." Leah obeyed and put Gu Mengmeng down. Then, he and Elvis stood behind Gu Mengmeng, following her every step. Gu Mengmeng walked past Miranda and stood in front of the stone chair. She smiled and gave it a punch. With a clang, the stone chair shattered into pieces and couldn't be pieced back together to its original state. This sudden sound gave Miranda a fright. She shrunk back and stared at Gu Mengmeng in fear. The elders were also surprised, as if they couldn't figure out Gu Mengmeng's plan. Gu Mengmeng patted the dust off her hands and said, "I have a weird habit. I don't like others to touch my things. If someone touches it, I will destroy that person along with that thing. On account that it's your first offense today, Miranda, I will only destroy the chair and let you off. If there's a next time, I will crush you more thoroughly than this chair." Miranda knelt there and trembled like a sieve. She looked at Gu Mengmeng as if she was about to cry. Gu Mengmeng smiled and said, "You don't have to be so afraid. I am not an unreasonable person. Since you like this chair, then take it. Now, I am giving it to you. I am representing the beast deity to reward you. You have to cherish it. If even a piece of broken stone is missing, it would be a crime of looking down on the beast deity. If you understand, then come over to receive your reward." Miranda looked at the pile of broken stones and tears streamed down her face. She cried like a pear blossom covered by rain. She was definitely crying like a fairy. She gently rubbed the spot 2 fingers below her eyes and said with extreme grievance, "Aya, quickly help me explain to the great messenger. The great messenger really misunderstood me. I did not covet the great messenger's position." Sobs. "Aya, what's wrong with you? Quickly help me explain." Gu Mengmeng placed her finger on her lips and made a shushing gesture. Seeing that Miranda had shut up, she then said, "You can't reject the messenger's reward. No matter what you want to say, just accept the reward first. Remember, you have to personally move them away piece by piece and place them properly. If you continue to talk nonsense, I will take it that you are looking down on the beast deity." Miranda bit her lower lip, her eyes never leaving Lee's face. Seeing that he had no intention of speaking up for her and was instead looking at Gu Mengmeng in admiration, a venomous hatred flashed across her eyes. But she hid it very well. It was just a flash and was immediately suppressed. He kowtowed again and said, "Thank you, Lord Envoy, for your reward." With that, she really started to move the broken stones with her bare hands. She did not forget to put on a gentle and stubborn look while moving them. TSK, how lovable. Gu Mengmeng shifted her gaze away from Miranda's face and landed on the elders who were still kneeling on the ground. She swept her gaze across and stopped at Elder Eugene who had just comforted Miranda. Chuckling, Gu Mengmeng said, "Elder Eugene, you have not answered my question. You mentioned the favored son just now. Are you referring to my Leah?" Chapter 1324. But Leah smiled and replied, 300 years ago, I am the only deity's beloved. If you are not talking about me, then are you talking about the witch doctor from 300 years ago?" Elder Eugene lowered his head respectfully and replied, "Yes, I am talking about the Ninth Highness." Gu Mengmeng had a "I see" look on her face and frowned slightly. She asked in confusion, then, "Why does the continuation of my Lee's bloodline depend on Miranda's stomach? How could a sly old fox like Eugene not understand?" Gu Mengmeng smashed that chair just now to fix Miranda and to intimidate herself was secondary. She used that chair to warn herself that if they dared to send Miranda to Lee's bed, then that chair would be the fate of the entire Snow Fox tribe. If this threat came from someone else, Eugene could just scoff coldly and say, "Bring it on." But the one who said this was Gu Mengmeng. She had the capital and the ability, not to mention her Wolf King partner and that perversely strong snake beast friend, even the Ninth Highness of the Snow Fox tribe himself. He would not hesitate to massacre the entire Snow Fox tribe with just one command from Gu Mengmeng. This was supposed to be a secret plan, but Gu Mengmeng overheard it due to his carelessness. It was too late to deny it now. Eugene deliberated for a while and decided to make things clear. He knelt down and said, "Mighty messenger, you may not know, but the deity's beloved is the most noble bloodline in the Snow Fox tribe and must be inherited. And Miranda is one of the purest females in the Snow Fox tribe. So, in order to continue this noble bloodline, we need to borrow Miranda's stomach to give birth to a litter of cubs for the Ninth Highness. Of course, the emissary's status is noble, and as the emissary's companion, your Ninth Highness naturally shouldn't keep a concubine. So as long as Miranda continues your Highness's bloodline, this subordinate is willing to personally kill Miranda to prevent future troubles. Borrow someone else's stomach to give birth to a child." Gu Mengmeng chuckled and shook her head. She said indifferently, "Mighty Eugene, you are so scheming. If this was in ancient times, wouldn't he be a chief eunuch? Or someone like Zhao Gao? This is also to allow the Snow Fox tribe to grow stronger so that we can continue to serve the mighty messenger better. Please understand." "What if I don't understand?" Gu Mengmeng chuckled. "I have always been a petty person. What makes you think I can tolerate other females bearing children for my man? As soon as the child is born, Miranda will be executed immediately. She will not pose any threat to the Lord Emissary. Moreover, the Ninth Highness is deeply in love with the Great Messenger, so he won't fall in love with someone else because of a child." Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly and said, "There are two things that Elder Eugene is mistaken about. First, regardless of whether Miranda was alive or dead, she posed no threat to me. Second, my man in any matter in any aspect, it is not your turn to arrange. Do you really think you can take advantage of your seniority just because you're an elder?" Gu Mengmeng's gaze swept across all the elders kneeling on the ground and she said word by word, "I'll say it here today. I, Gu Mengmeng, am a person with a lot of problems. I hold grudges and have mysophobia, especially when it comes to men. Whoever dares to extend their claws towards my man, I guarantee that they won't be able to return." Chapter 1325. Gu Mengmeng had always been planning to give birth to a nest of little foxes for Leah, but that was one thing. Being forced to give birth by others made her very unhappy. Gu Mengmeng leaned into Lee's arms and asked with a smile, "What if I don't want to give birth?" The elders all knelt in a row in unison and said, "Then Great Messenger, please allow Miranda to stay and continue the Ninth Highness bloodline." Gu Mengmeng laughed coldly and said, "If all of you say that, I can't keep this Miranda. Leah, spread the news that Sauter wants to sell a perfect female from the Snow Fox tribe. She has good looks and a healthy body, and is the best choice for bearing children. Yeah, she should be able to sell for a good price." "All right," Leah answered gently without any hesitation. Miranda, who had just finished moving the last piece of broken stone, returned. She heard Gu Mengmeng's final verdict the moment she entered and her weak body slumped to the ground. Tears flowed down her cheeks like pearls from a broken necklace. She looked at Leah with a heart full of resentment and said, "Aya, how could you do this to me? For the sake of our past relationship, you should at least speak up for me. Even if you have a new lover now, at least I was once engaged to you. How can you just watch as the Great Messenger sells me off?" Gu Mengmeng took 2 steps forward and squatted in front of Miranda. She pinched Miranda's chin and scrutinized it, saying, "If your teeth are knocked out, will you not be able to sell them for a good price?" With that, Gu Mengmeng slapped Miranda's face with the back of her hand. One of her teeth loosened and Miranda spat it out together with blood. Miranda did not expect Gu Mengmeng to hit her and was so stunned that she even forgot to cry. She just stared at Gu Mengmeng in a daze. I don't like it when you give my man nicknames so casually. It makes me very unhappy. Gu Mengmeng pinched Miranda, whose mouth was full of blood, and asked with a smile, Didn't Cole tell you that I have a bad temper when he sent you here? Don't provoke me if you want to stay alive. No, no. Miranda started trembling at the mention of Cole. It was different from her previous pitiful act. This time, she was really trembling and her face turned green instantly. She shook her head with all her might and said, Cole didn't send me here. I escaped by myself, really. Miranda crawled towards Leah as she spoke. She reached out to grab onto Lee's ankle, but Leah took a step back, causing her to fall onto the ground. Her eyes were bloodshot and tears and mucus were dripping down her face. She cried extremely pathetically and shook her head desperately while shouting, Aya. Ninth Highness. I really escaped by myself. I went through so much trouble to escape from Cole's clutches and come back to see you. I beg you, don't sell me. This is the only place in the entire beast world that Cole doesn't dare to come to. I can only stay in Solder to avoid that devil. I beg you, let me stay, save me. Gu Mengmeng and Leah exchanged glances. Looking at Miranda, who was crying so hard that the veins on her neck were popping out, they both believed that Miranda was speaking the truth now. The subtle reactions on her body were the most honest, and it was not something that could be deceived by acting. But, what kind of person was Cole? The person he imprisoned could escape so easily. Who would believe that? Gu Mengmeng was not a heartless person, but she understood the principle of not looking out for herself. Chapter 13:26. No woman would keep a woman who wanted to climb into her man's bed by her side, right? At least Gu Mengmeng knew she could not do it. Keep your tears, I have no sympathy for my love rivals. Gu Mengmeng walked towards Leah and allowed him to pull her into his arms. He used his arm to support her butt and hugged her like a child. Gu Mengmeng used Lee's height to look down on him. Find a buyer within 3 days and sell Miranda. This is the order of the messenger of the beast deity. Anyone who disobeys will die. With that, Gu Mengmeng glanced at the group of elders and smiled. Don't provoke me if it's really for the good of the Snow Fox tribe. Otherwise, it's not difficult for me to make a tribe disappear without a trace in this boundless world. With that, Gu Mengmeng suddenly released some beast pressure and then quickly retracted it. Elvis stood behind Leah without anyone noticing and supported him secretly. The other elders were not so lucky and were directly pressed onto the ground, unable to get up. Miranda was a female and did not feel anything from the beast pressure. She just sat there bawling her eyes out. Seeing that Gu Mengmeng and Leah were about to leave, she shouted at the top of her lungs. Ninth Highness, is liking you such a heinous thing? Leah did not reply, nor did he pause. He just carried Gu Mengmeng out of the meeting room. When he came out, he saw Heda and Jiaoyu guarding the door. Their expressions did not look too good. They must have been affected by Gu Mengmeng's pressure just now. Leah said, make arrangements to sell Miranda within 3 days. The price is negotiable and the further the better. Jiaoyu shook his head. Daddy Leah, you are really heartless. Leah glared at Jiaoyu and said with a serious expression, don't joke about this. Jiaoyu shrugged. I know you are henpecked, you don't have to be so obvious. Gu Mengmeng did not say a word. She just laid on Lee's shoulders and looked a little dazed. How should she put it? Logic told her that her decision was right. This Miranda had impure intentions towards Leah and was also involved with Cole. From the moment they met till now, she had put on a pitiful act. It was true that she was afraid of Cole, but she did not rule out the possibility that Cole had let her come to solder because he knew this was the case to gain Gu Mingming's sympathy. Gu Mengmeng had Wang Xiaoxin's psychological knowledge, and the success rate of lying to Gu Mengmeng was about the same as buying a lottery ticket. So if one wanted to succeed, there must be at least 80% true information mixed with at most 20% true motives. Then, Miranda's identity was real, her fear of Cole was real, and her escape was real. At least Cole had made her think that she had escaped on her own. In the entire beast world, solder was the only place that Cole did not dare to go near because of Gu Mingming's presence. As an escaped prisoner who was afraid of Cole, solder was naturally the best choice. Moreover, Leah, whom Miranda had been pining for, was here. So Cole just had to create a chance for Miranda to escape. Her only destination would be solder. But Gu Mengmeng could not understand why Cole had arranged for Miranda to come to solder. Was it just to create trouble for Leah and drive a wedge between their relationship? In this matter, Miranda was undoubtedly just a chess piece. But once she was on the chessboard, who could be considered innocent? Both of them had their own reasons, both of them had no choice but to do so. Chapter 13:27. Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, Did I go overboard? Miranda looks a little pitiful. Leah kissed Gu Mingming's forehead and said, Silly girl. If any males continue to pester you when you don't like them, Elvis and I will be much crueler than what you did today. But you are born soft-hearted and kind. I am already very satisfied that you can do this for me. Yeah, today is the second happiest day of my life. Gu Mengmeng could not smile and could only look at Leah and ask, Second happiest? Then what about the happiest day? Of course it's the day I mate with you and leave my mark on your ear. Leah smiled ambiguously and hugged Gu Mengmeng, kissing her left ear, and said, Gu Mengmeng, leave Miranda's matter to me. I enjoy the sight of you being jealous because of me, but I can't bear to see you make things difficult for yourself, doing things you are not good at and don't like. Actually, Gu Mengmeng lowered her head. She could not deny that Leah was right. Gu Mengmeng had never been a white lotus, but the education she received had a moral bottom line. She clearly knew that Miranda came to solder with Cole's motives. Once she was thrown out, based on Cole's behavior, Miranda would definitely die. She felt a sense of guilt for pushing someone to their death just to protect her own love. Gu Mengmeng. Leah pulled Gu Mingming's hand to his lips and kissed it, saying, Do you know? I was so afraid that you would suddenly change the way you speak. This makes me feel as if the whole world doesn't want me anymore. I should not have forced you to do things you are not good at, I was too greedy. Forgive me this once, alright? Gu Mingming's lips twitched and said, It's not your fault, I was the one who insisted on handling it. I was the one who fought fiercely, and now I am the one who feels guilty. I also don't know why I am being unreasonable, I just can't tolerate her, but I also didn't want to kill her. Leah patted Gu Mingming's back gently, comforting her while thinking. After a while, Leah said, Maybe there's a place where she can never return and Cole can't hurt her. Gu Mengmeng looked up and asked, Where? Leah replied, Moda Mountains. Gu Mingming's eyes brightened, he was right. The terrain of the Moda Mountains was so steep that even beast kings like her and Elvis could not climb up, much less a crippled beast like Cole. As long as they sent Miranda to the Moda Mountains, she would not be able to come down and Cole would not be able to go up. She would not be able to come back to harass Leah and Cole would not be able to kill her. Gu Mingming's mood brightened up instantly. She smiled. Just nice, I took the love of the sky that they were guarding at the Moda Mountains and left them a snow fox female with pure bloodline. It's considered returning the favor. After all, birds could not go down the mountain as they pleased. Chapter 13:28. Leah chuckled. Then lock Miranda up and announced to the public that she has already been sold. Next year, during the monsoon season, we will bring her along when we go to the Moda Mountains and deliver it personally. How about that? Gu Meng Meng nodded. Leah, do you think I am being too selfish? Just because she likes you, I can't tolerate her, am I being too petty? Leah stroked Gu Meng Meng's hair. Silly girl, have you forgotten what I said? Your selfishness is what I yearn for in my dreams. I can't wait for you to be more selfish. The more you can't tolerate others liking me, it means that you care for me even more. This makes me feel very secure and happy. Why would I think you are bad? Gu Meng Meng didn't say anything else. She just snuggled in Li's arms for a while. As the weather turned colder, the day of Wabiai's return to the Snake King Valley drew near. Today, Wabiai, who had gone out hunting to help Gu Meng Meng store food, swam back lazily. He threw 2 wild boars to Leah and swam over to Gu Meng Meng nonchalantly. He reached out and poked Gu Meng Meng's head twice, feeling very happy. This little action was something he had been doing ever since he was stained with Gu Meng Meng's blood and was no longer afraid of her. Every time they met, he would poke her head twice to make sure that he was really not afraid of her. If he didn't poke her, he would feel very uneasy. Gu Meng Meng was used to his poking and couldn't be bothered to be calculative. After poking Gu Meng Meng, Wabiai felt completely at ease. He sat against the wall and said nonchalantly, "Your little fox guessed correctly. After I swam a sufficient distance, that cripple indeed appeared. Although he is a 5th-level beast, he is clearly much weaker than me. I had almost reached the Snake King Valley before he dared to show himself." Wabiai had said before that he was afraid of her and hovered around the borders of Sauter, not daring to enter. Meanwhile, Cole should be hiding further away and unable to get close. Wabiai was judging the strength of his fear of her based on the distance between them. Although hiding in the Snake King Valley was definitely an exaggeration, but it was inevitable that Cole could get closer to her than Wabiai. But Gu Meng Meng did not feel that it was entirely a problem of strength. There was also a certain degree of psychological effect. Although Wabiai was fearful of Gu Meng Meng, he knew very well that Gu Meng Meng would never hurt him. But Cole was different. Other than the fear in his bones, he also had a psychological fear because he knew very well that Gu Meng Meng really wanted to kill him. But Gu Meng Meng didn't tell Wabiai about this. This long worm was about to go into hibernation again. She would let him be arrogant for a while longer. Tilting her head, Gu Meng Meng nodded in agreement and said, "Yeah, my little shit is naturally extraordinarily strong. How can a dung beetle compare to him, right?" Wabiai pondered for a while and asked, "Are you complimenting me?" Gu Meng Meng nodded solemnly, her face full of sincerity. Wabiai chuckled, "Now do you know how powerful I am?" Gu Meng Meng was speechless as she held back her laughter. Then, she asked, "Did you act according to what Leah taught you?" Wabiai nodded repeatedly and slapped his thigh with a smile. Let me tell you, acting as Snake's little daddy feels really good." Gu Meng Meng chuckled speechlessly. Leah placed the wild boar at the side and walked over to sit beside Gu Meng Meng. He looked at Wabiai and asked, "Then what was his reaction when he found out that you had become partners with the previous messenger of the beast deity?" Chapter 1329. Gu Meng Meng face-bombed and looked at Leah. "Will this work? Why do I feel that little shit is so unreliable?" Leah shook his head gently. He fiddled with Gu Meng Meng's fingers for a moment before replying. "No, it's better this way. Isn't it because of what you said, a real man never looks back, a blazing fire and drifting wind await him?" Gu Meng Meng chuckled. "A real man never looks back at an explosion." Leah nodded. "That's exactly what I meant." Wabiai snorted. "Can the two of you speak like a human?" Gu Meng Meng replied. "What Leah means is that if you don't observe Cole's reaction, Cole will instead believe what you say. He is too smart. As long as you try to guess something, he can imagine the entire classic of mountains and seas. His physique, which is a combination of demons and ghosts, is too good at guessing people's minds. Instead, it's because you left him a suave and proud back view that he will believe that you have really become partners with Wang Xiaoxin. After all, marrying the previous messenger of the beast deity is even more eye-catching than marrying me. You have the right to be arrogant. Wabi stood up abruptly. He turned around with his back facing Gu Mengmeng. Isn't this suave? He changed his angle and asked again. How about this? Proud and aloof. I am too handsome, am I? Gu Mengmeng replied, my movements are sluggish and my heart is intoxicated. Leah asked, what do you mean? Gu Mengmeng rolled her eyes at Wabi. My heart is so tired. Leah laughed and carried Gu Mengmeng to the door to bask in the sun. Wabi adjusted his posture and angle as he watched Gu Mengmeng leave. He then chased after her, using all sorts of lighting to calculate the distance. Then, he asked Gu Mengmeng, don't you think my back view is the most handsome? Gu Mengmeng deeply regretted praising Wabi. The repercussions were worse than being afraid of her. Elvis returned from outside and took Gu Mengmeng from Lee's arms. Leah went to prepare lunch. Elvis glanced at Wabi. What's wrong with him? Gu Mengmeng said, ignore him, he's having a fit. Elvis chuckled and nodded his head, saying, all the females of the wolf clan should be here, a total of 27 of them. Tomorrow, there might be other families with wolf clan males joining us, so we've marked out a piece of land in the old land of the 16 tribes for the wolf clan to stay in. The cave has already been dug, but the new cave is more damp and cold, which is a problem. But I've already taught them to use fire to dry the cave, so it should be able to temporarily get through the winter. But now that winter is coming, I'm afraid we won't have enough food. Gu Mengmeng thought for a while and said, we have a lot of food reserves at home, why don't we give a portion to these 27 females? At least we have to ensure that all 27 of them are still alive when winter ends next year. Elvis shook his head and said, you cannot share your food with others. But, Leah went along with Elvis's words and said, I will teach them how to store food. It will be up to them how much food they can store for their own females in these few days. Gu Mengmeng, don't underestimate the potential of males. For their own females, there's nothing they can't do. Gu Mengmeng nodded and said, then we can only do that. But I don't know if we have enough salt. Chapter 1330. The matter of the female wolf tribe was thus settled. With Elvis and Lee's arrangements, Gu Mengmeng did not have to worry about it. Miranda was imprisoned by Leah in the secret room where Cole had previously imprisoned Jillian. In order to prevent news from leaking, Leah did not arrange for the snow foxes to guard her. Instead, he got Elvis to arrange for the wolf tribe to watch over her and deliver her meals every day. Miranda was surprisingly obedient. She did not cry or make a fuss in the secret room. The wolf beast reported that she only said one sentence these few days. In the end, I still could not escape the fate of being imprisoned, but being imprisoned by Aya is better than being imprisoned by Cole. It was a little self-deceiving, but Gu Mengmeng still chose to ignore it. She only instructed them to deliver Miranda's meals on time and ensure that she could safely survive this winter. She did not need to report other trivial matters. Wabi was getting more and more listless every day. Gu Mengmeng knew that it was time for him to go back. I will send you. Gu Mengmeng hooked one arm around Wabi's neck and said in a brotherly manner. Wabi snorted. I am the best in the world. Do I need a little female like you to send me? Humph. Gu Mengmeng thought about it and agreed. She said she was going to send Wabi, but in the end, Elvis had to carry her all the way. All right, go back and have a good sleep this year. Next year, bring back some fruits from the Snake King Valley for me to eat. I want to eat that red one, do you know about it? Wabi nodded. Yes, The one snake kicked me off the tree to help you pluck. When I return next year, I will bring you the biggest and best one at the top. Gu Meng Meng nodded. Little shit knows me best. That night, Leah prepared a sumptuous dinner. Gu Meng Meng took out some of the newly brewed grape wine and poured it into small bamboo cups. Elvis only had 1 cup and Gu Meng Meng ordered him to drink at most 3 drops in one mouthful. He was not allowed to drink any more after he had finished the cup. Elvis knew that he had violent tendencies when he was drunk. Now that he had the powers of a beast king, Gu Meng Meng was the only one who could deal with him if he went into a drunken frenzy. Thinking of the possibility of hurting Gu Meng Meng due to losing control, Elvis treated the red wine as poison. He raised his glass repeatedly but not a single drop entered his mouth. After an entire winter of training, Lee's alcohol tolerance could reach 1.5 cups. But in order not to lose control, Gu Meng Meng only gave Lee half a cup of wine, so that he would be slightly tipsy but not drunk. Wabi was the main guest today and naturally wanted to get drunk. So Gu Meng Meng directly poured a large bowl of wine for Wabi. She didn't seem to care about the wine at all. She drank to her heart's content and didn't want to leave until she was drunk. As for Oriton, who came to freeload, Gu Meng Meng really wanted to see how he would look like after his poker face was torn off. Anyway, even if he went crazy, a 3rd-level beast would not be able to do anything, so Gu Meng Meng also gave Oriton a big bowl and filled it to the brim. Gu Meng Meng used a small bamboo cup for herself. She used it a few times, which made her look more elegant. Wabi looked suspiciously at the big bowl in front of him and the glass of wine in Elvis's arms. He tilted his head at Gu Meng Meng. Gu Meng Meng, I say, what are you up to? There's no poison here, right? Gu Meng Meng raised her head. Unless the bowl in front of you is filled with my blood, what else in this world can poison you to death? Don't be a coward, let's drink. Chapter 1331. Although she had never drunk alcohol before, males were naturally not easy to provoke. Gu Meng Meng's generous toast made Wabi unwilling to back down. He raised his bowl and said, "Humph, do you think I'm afraid of you poisoning me? Let me tell you, even if this bowl is filled with your blood, it will not kill me. Bottoms up." With that, he downed the entire bowl. The red liquid flowed down his windpipe and a slight spicy sensation spread throughout his entire body. Wabi felt a sense of comfort that he had never experienced before. His pupils involuntarily narrowed into slits and every cell in his body seemed to be gradually awakening. Wabi felt as though a whole new world had opened up to him. He felt like he was floating in the air, wishing for life and death. Oriton held up the stone bowl and sniffed it. It smelled strange. What he liked was meat. Although the color of the juice made from this kind of sour fruit was very similar to blood, which made him feel a kind of excitement, he could tell that the smell was not right, so he couldn't bring himself to drink it. Leah patted Oriton's shoulder and whispered, "This is Meng Meng's baby, do you see it? She was only willing to give me and Elvis this little bit. You only have such a big bowl because of Wabi. Don't be so ungrateful. Because if you drink it this time, you might not be able to drink it again." Oriton fully believed in Lee's words. So he nodded and imitated Wabi, downing the bowl in one gulp. Then, clang! A tiger fell stiffly to the ground in the same state as Elvis that day. Gu Meng Meng shook her head in exasperation. "I thought I could conquer his poker face. TSK, what a waste of my good wine." Wabi handed the bowl to Gu Meng Meng. "Gu Meng Meng, I want more." Gu Meng Meng turned back to look at Wabi in surprise. She took his bowl and scooped another for him. "I couldn't tell that you have such a high tolerance for alcohol." Wabi's tongue had turned into a forked tongue and he couldn't help sticking it out. He had an extreme desire for the contents of the bowl. After downing another bowl, he was still not satisfied. He handed the bowl back to Gu Mengmeng with the words "fill it up for me," clearly written on his face. Gu Mingming's interest was piqued and she ordered another bowl for Wabiai. She even imitated the waiter and said, "Warrior, 3 bowls is not enough." Wabiai didn't understand what Gu Mengmeng was saying at all. He clinked his stone bowl against Gu Mingming's little bamboo cup and said, "Less nonsense, cheers." Gu Mengmeng raised her glass and said, "I'm happy to accompany you." Hence, Wabiai had a big bowl and Gu Mengmeng a small cup. The two of them drank more and more vigorously, causing Leah and Elvis to tremble in fear and excitement. Who knew what Xiao Mengmeng would be like when she was drunk? Would she hug them and act coquettishly, or would she turn into a little devil and whip them? Wabiai and Gu Mengmeng were drinking enthusiastically when Oriton, who had fainted, suddenly stood up stiffly. Glaring at Leah like a tiger watching its prey, he walked in front of Leah with one hand and one leg and clamped onto Leah's shoulder tightly. "Where's the meat? Where's my meat?" Pfft! Gu Mengmeng burst out laughing. The alcohol had magnified her emotions by many times. Looking at the drunk Oriton still chasing after Leah with a poker face, Gu Mengmeng laughed so hard that she was convulsing with joy. Chapter 1332. Gu Mengmeng was already a little tipsy, but Wabiai was still very energetic. Gu Mengmeng rubbed her temples and shook her head. "No, I can't drink anymore." Wabiai hooked his arm around Gu Mingming's neck. "You promised to get drunk with me, can you still go back on your words?" She then leaned against the side of the barrel and hooked her finger at Wabiai. "Little shit, I am not a petty person, do you know? I said that I will drink till I'm drunk, till I'm drunk, till I'm drunk. Come over here, look at this, see, it's all wine. I am a tycoon, do you know that?" Wabiai's eyes widened as he looked at Wabiai and said, "Little shit, I am not a petty person, do you know? I said that I will drink till I'm drunk, till I'm drunk, till I'm drunk, till I'm drunk." Wabiai leaned over to the barrel and took a deep sniff. His face was filled with greed. He looked at Gu Mengmeng. "This is for me." Gu Mengmeng made a "please" gesture. "After you finish this, there's more beside, do you see, there's so much, you can drink as much as you want." Wabiai held on to Gu Mingming's shoulders with both hands and knocked his head hard against her forehead. "Gu Mengmeng, you are so loyal. From today onwards, I, little shit, am your friend. Your problems are my problems. I will climb a mountain of swords or plunge into a sea of flames. If I, little shit, even blink, I am your child." Gu Mengmeng changed her tone. She shook her head and corrected herself. "My partners are wolves and foxes. They can't give birth to such a huge worm like you." Wabiai also shook his head. He turned Gu Mingming's shoulders around and pointed at the back of her neck. "No, you have a partner from the snake tribe. Look, the mark is here, this mark, it looks so familiar. I seem to have seen it somewhere before." Gu Mengmeng clutched the back of her neck. Realization dawned on her. Yes, I have the mark of the snake tribe on my neck. All right, you are my child from now onwards." Leah and Elvis looked at each other. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry as they watched Gu Mengmeng and Wabiai spout nonsense in all seriousness. Wabiai thought for a moment. "So, you and Snake gave birth to me, then I mated with Snake's mother and became Snake's little daddy. So between Snake and I, who is whose daddy?" Gu Mengmeng seemed to have fallen into a trap. She tried to calculate with her hands. Finally, she smacked her head. "You are my daddy." Wabiai nodded. "All right, I am your daddy." Wabiai nodded. "All right, I am your daddy." Wabiai nodded heavily and said, "All right, father, I will drink first to show my respect." After saying that, he plunged his head into the wine barrel and gulped it down. Elvis poked Leah with his elbow and asked, "So, who exactly is whose daddy now?" Leah face-bombed. "I haven't passed level 4 or 6 in Chinese, so I don't really understand." With that, he walked forward with a smile and hugged Gu Mengmeng in his arms. "He won't be able to finish it in such a short time. Go and sleep for a while." Gu Mengmeng looked at Leah and was stunned for 2 seconds. Then, she raised her arm and gave Leah a slap. "Demon, return my master." Leah was dumbfounded from the beating. He looked at Elvis innocently and asked, "Her master is?" Elvis thought about it and grabbed Oriton, whose face was swollen from Lee's beating, from the side. "I'll take this, I'll make do with it." Leah nodded and dragged Oriton's leg in front of Gu Mengmeng. "Come, return your master." Gu Mengmeng did not take it. Instead, she squatted down and stared blankly at Oriton. After a while, she smacked her lips and said, "I heard that eating him can make you immortal. In that case, I can accompany my man forever. Why don't the 3 of us share him and have a taste?" Out of topic, who was the one who said that Elvis and Leah had bad alcohol tolerance? Look at these two. I used to have a friend. One time, he drank too much and came out of the bar claiming that he was a pleasant goat. He sprawled on the green belt to eat grass. No one could pull him away and he had a mouthful of mud. The next day, he blamed us for not stopping him. We showed him the video and he said that we couldn't stop him even if we tried. He said, "Then why didn't you guys shout, 'Grey Wolf is here'?" Chapter 1333. Oriton sat up abruptly. As his face was swollen from Lee's slap, he could not speak clearly. Coupled with the effects of the alcohol, his tongue was stiff. He stammered, "Eat. Where is it? Where is the food?" "Meat, my meat." Gu Mengmeng instantly clutched her head and rolled around on the floor. "Master, I was wrong, master. Stop chanting, stop chanting. Ah." With a scream, Gu Mengmeng fainted. Leah and Elvis looked at each other. Elvis carried Gu Mengmeng, who was lying on the ground, and heard her even breathing and light snores. He smiled helplessly and carried her to the bed. Then, he and Leah revealed their original forms and placed her in the middle, one on the left and one on the right. After lying down beside Gu Mengmeng, Elvis suddenly released his beast pressure and Oriton was instantly pressed back to his original form, directly falling onto the ground. Leah was not spared either. Luckily, he had already adjusted his pose and fainted without any qualms. When Gu Mengmeng woke up the next day, Wabi was no longer around. Only 1 barrel of wine was left out of the dozen barrels. Gu Mengmeng stared at the empty barrel and gritted her teeth. She pointed at the door and shouted at the air. "Little shit. Just wait and see. See how I will settle the score with you next year." Elvis and Leah rubbed their noses. Neither of them mentioned that it was Gu Mengmeng herself who made Wabi drink freely last night. Leah held Gu Mengmeng's shoulders and pinched her angry little face. He asked with a smile, "My precious Gu Mengmeng, does your head still hurt?" Gu Mengmeng rubbed her own head. "It doesn't hurt. Our wine is all natural and doesn't have any additives. I don't get a hangover too often." Leah was not asking about the hangover. But he did not explain. He just pointed at Oriton. "Then do you still want to eat him? Do you want to fry him or stew him?" Gu Mengmeng tilted her head. She looked at the bruised and swollen Oriton in a daze. "Are you crazy? We have so much food at home. Why did you eat Oriton?" Leah replied with an innocent face, "Weren't you the one who said that eating him would make you immortal and accompany me and Elvis forever? I feel that this future is very beautiful. Sacrificing 1 Oriton in exchange for the 3 of us staying together forever. What are you hesitating for? Eat." Gu Mengmeng was shocked. She pointed at her own nose. I said that. Leah nodded. Gu Mengmeng shifted her gaze to Elvis, who also nodded. Gu Mengmeng face-bombed. I thought the alcohol content of the wine wasn't high, so I was very assured. But that little bastard Wabi kept teasing me and I couldn't control myself. I drank a little too much. I think I'm blacking out. Scratching her head, Gu Mengmeng asked carefully, other than saying that I wanted to eat Oriton. I didn't say anything else, right? Leah rolled his eyes meaningfully before saying, you talked a lot. For example, discussing who was whose father with Wabi. Gu Mengmeng herself could not recall what she had said, but based on the sentence about eating Oriton to make one immortal, the level of nonsense she had spouted should be comparable to strange stories from a Chinese studio. Gu Mengmeng smiled apologetically and said, as the saying goes, don't take drunk words seriously. Leah raised his brows. Didn't you tell me before that, drunken people speak the truth after drinking? Chapter 1334. Leah laid sideways beside Gu Mengmeng and played with her hair. How is it embarrassing? You don't even know how adorable you were last night. With that, Leah couldn't help but laugh. I will force you to drink whenever I'm in a bad mood. Seeing you drunk like a cat will make all my worries disappear. So what exactly did she do last night? She had no recollection at all. Elvis and Leah seemed to be teasing her on purpose. The more she asked, the more they refused to answer. They just smiled at her, making her hair stand on end. But this hangover was not without its benefits. At least, that Miranda, who made Gu Mengmeng feel so aggrieved and awkward, was forgotten by Gu Mengmeng just like that. On the 10th day after Wabi left, the first snowfall arrived. Gu Mengmeng leaned on the window sill and watched as Sauter slowly turned from a beautiful and romantic city with its first snowfall into a sweet and beautiful fairy tale cartoon building. Then, the snow sealed off the window. Apart from the faint whistling of the wind, she could not hear anything else. Of course, she didn't know that the bird circling 6,000 meters high in the sky, shuttling through the wind and snow, was so focused that it could see her, who was smaller than a sesame seed, through the layers of wind and snow. Only when her appearance was completely covered by the snow did it reluctantly leave. However, halfway through, it suddenly turned back and stopped outside her window. Folding its wings, it was like a drunken general lying on the battlefield, lying on its back in the snow, letting the sky full of goose feathers bury it alive. Her laughter could be heard in the rustling sound of the snow. That was good. He could get closer to her when she couldn't see him. He soared into the sky. A spirit eagle leapt out of the snow and soared into the 9 heavens. He had to protect her. Even if she didn't need it, even if she didn't know, he had to do something for her. Only then would he be able to suppress his restless heart. If his body was tired enough, he might be able to sleep tonight. Gu Mengmeng, who was in the stone castle, was completely unaware of what was happening outside. Because of her, the stray beasts did not dare to approach this place. This made her feel at ease. After all, other than the stray beasts who wanted to snatch the tribe's food, who would go out in such weather? Cupping her cheek, Gu Mengmeng tapped her own face lightly with her fingers. Don't you guys feel that Cole has been too quiet for the past year? Is it good that he doesn't bother you? Leah replied to Gu Mengmeng as he took out a piece of beast skin from the side and made Gu Mengmeng's bed softer. Then, he carried Gu Mengmeng onto the bed and added, it's just the start of winter and the weather is getting colder. Don't be greedy or you might fall sick. Gu Mengmeng did not resist and allowed Leah to carry her up and place her on the bed. Meanwhile, Elvis sat behind her calmly and stretched out his long arms, pulling her into his embrace. It's not that I'm not good. It's just that he's a pervert who can't stand others doing well. I feel especially uneasy when he suddenly changed his personality and stopped finding trouble with me. Look, Qi Xian and Kanwu even specially came over to remind me to be careful. But other than throwing Miranda at me, Cole didn't do anything else. And that Miranda was easily locked up by us and will be sent away next year. Why is it so easy to resolve? Why is it so unlike Cole's style? Chapter 1335. Thinking about it, Gu Mengmeng nodded and did not dwell on it any further. As Sauter had a secret passageway, Gu Mengmeng did not feel bored during the winter. She often used the secret passageway to look for Sandy or Hedda and Jiaoyu. Such comfortable days passed by for half a month. This day, Gu Mengmeng woke up as usual, ate as usual and prepared to pass through the secret passageway to look for Sandy. But she realized that Leo was blocking the entrance of the secret passageway and not letting her in. He even used layers of beast skin to seal the entrance. Li's expression was not right and he looked very agitated. Leah. What's wrong? Gu Mengmeng was a little worried and went forward to help Leah up. She was shocked. Leah, why is your body so hot? Are you sick? Leah shook his head and blocked the entrance with all his might. I'm fine. Go to the second floor to rest. Be good. Gu Mengmeng frowned. Leah did not look like he was fine. But his words meant that he did not want her to know about something. Leah never hid anything from her. What's wrong? Tell me, we can think of a solution together. Leah frowned and looked straight into Gu Mengmeng's eyes. Seeing her determined and worried look, he smiled bitterly. I know what Cole wants to do. Ha! Gu Mengmeng did not understand. It was already winter. Even if Cole was from the Snow Fox tribe, he could not roam outside for a long time. Moreover, as a stray beast, he was afraid of Gu Mengmeng. How could he appear at this time to cause trouble? Leah clenched his teeth and said hatefully, This year is the year when the females of the Snow Fox tribe collectively go into estrus. After Leah said that, he glanced at the entrance of the secret passageway. His meaning was self-evident. The females of the Snow Fox tribe had already gone into estrus. Leah was afraid that Gu Mengmeng would be affected, so he sealed the entrance tightly with beast skin. Ah yeah, open the door. A weak voice came from behind the door. Gu Mengmeng listened carefully and realized that there were already many obscene sounds forming. Miranda was probably the only one who dared to call Leah Aya. Save me. Aya, save me. Do you want me to experience what happened in the past again? Miranda's voice became shrill with fear and despair. She wailed at the top of her lungs, Aya, I beg you. Save me. Open the door and let me hide. No. Don't touch me. I don't want to. Don't touch me. Aya, save me. Ah. Gu Mengmeng frowned and said, Open the door, I will go in. Leah hugged Gu Mengmeng and said, No way, the males and females inside have all lost their senses. What if you go in and bump into them? Gu Mengmeng said, I am the Beast King. I can directly release my beast pressure when I enter and suppress them all. That won't do. I won't take any risks. Li's eyes were bloodshot. He was also from the Snow Fox tribe and would definitely be affected by the group estrus. In the past, he managed to avoid it when he left his hometown, but now that he was so close to it, it was impossible for him to remain indifferent. He also had a natural yearning for that maze, just like how all the wolves yearn for Elvis. It was an instinct to get close to it. But for Gu Mengmeng, he was trying his best to resist this instinct. Chapter 1336. Leah frowned and bit down on his lower lip. Gu Mengmeng was not as ruthless as he was, and he already knew that. He could turn a blind eye to Miranda's pleas for help, but Gu Mengmeng could not. Just as Leah had said, he was not a kind person. Apart from Gu Mengmeng, he did not care about anyone else. But Gu Mengmeng had a kind nature, and could not stand to see someone being humiliated in front of her without doing anything. Nodding, Leo looked at Elvis and said, "Be careful." Elvis tore off the beast skin blocking the entrance and pushed open the door. At the same time, Leah punched the snow sealing the entrance of the stone castle, allowing air to flow in. In an instant, the entire house was filled with the fox's seductive fragrance along with the chilly wind, engulfing this originally warm and cozy place. Elvis stepped into the secret tunnel and released his beast pressure with a shake of his body. Instantly, there was complete silence. Because the secret tunnel was winding, the beast pressure could not spread very far, so only the orcs within a certain range were affected. The concentration of the fox's seductive fragrance was too high, and even Elvis could not withstand it for long. So, he only carried Miranda out and quickly retreated out of the secret tunnel. Then, he closed the door of the secret tunnel and sealed it up with layers of beast skin. The silence did not last for long before waves of exhaustion came again. The beast skin that Miranda was wearing had long been torn to pieces. In just a short period of time, her body was covered in bruises, as if she had been ravaged by someone. There was some dirt on her body, probably from some male who had already done it but had not finished venting. She transformed her tail to cover her body and curled up in a corner of the room, shivering. She looked at Leo with her charming peach blossom eyes, looking extremely pitiful. "Go upstairs and turn left. The room at the very end is empty. Go in yourself and close the door. Don't come out again. Or else, I will either throw you back into the secret tunnel or throw you outside." Gu Mengmeng gritted her teeth and said. Miranda looked at Gu Mengmeng with bloodshot eyes and laughed coldly. "All right, don't you just want to imprison me? I'm used to being imprisoned anyway, so you don't have to threaten me like this. I'll obediently be imprisoned by you and let you enjoy torturing me. But I wish you good luck. I wish that you will never be detested by Aya. Otherwise, what happened to me today will be your tomorrow. Don't think that he belongs to you just because you mate with him. There is no such thing as loyalty in the Snow Fox clan." With that, Miranda dragged her broken body up the stairs and followed Gu Mingming's instructions to the left. She walked to the room at the end and closed the door, locking herself inside. Gu Mengmeng really wanted to slap herself. It was not like she had never heard of the story of the farmer and the snake. How could she not understand such a simple logic? All the pitiful people in the world must have a detestable side. Moreover, this mass estrus had been a secret of the Snow Fox clan for thousands of years. Why did she have to get involved and interfere? He had no choice but to get himself into trouble, but with her character, she just could not turn a deaf ear to those pitiful cries for help. Meng Meng. Li's body was getting hotter and hotter as he hugged Gu Mengmeng. His gaze started to blur and he called out to Gu Mengmeng. "Mengmeng, I feel terrible. I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself, knock me out. I can't hold it in anymore. Mengmeng. Mengmeng, I feel terrible." Chapter 1337. Gu Mingming's heart tightened as she asked, "Are you also affected by the fox's seductive fragrance?" Elvis nodded his head awkwardly and said, "The purity is too high, I can't resist it." Damn it, she couldn't even resist when the two of them were deeply in love. Now that she was seduced by the fox's seductive fragrance, if they really went crazy, she would die in bed. She didn't care about anything else as she had the power of a beast king to protect her body and she would recover after a few days. But the problem was that the females of the Snow Fox tribe would go into estrus for a month and when she fainted, there was still Miranda upstairs. Who knew if someone else would jump out from the secret tunnel? Gu Mengmeng gritted her teeth and hardened her heart to knock Leah out first. Elvis panted heavily as he walked towards Gu Mengmeng step by step. He pulled Gu Mingming's hand and placed it on his chest and said, "My heart, you have touched it once before. You should know where it is, right? What are you doing? Gu Meng Meng had a bad premonition. Elvis's forehead was full of sweat, but he forced a smile and said, "If I lose control and do anything to betray or hurt you, dig out my heart and eat it. That way, you will have 2 drops of tear of the beast deity. With the support of 2 beast kings, you will not have to worry under any circumstances. Do you remember?" Elvis. Calm down. Gu Meng Meng roared. Elvis shook his head with all his might, as if he wanted to shake off the turbid thoughts in his head. But it was a pity that he could not do so. The more he shook, the more blurred his vision became. His body was boiling and he could not control it at all. His breathing became heavier and heavier and his chest was burning with pain from his heavy breathing. Something seemed to be tumbling in his throat and his mouth felt parched. Gu Meng Meng placed Leah at the side and held Elvis's face with both hands. She said, "Hubby, look at me. I am Xiao Meng's partner." Xiao Meng, Xiao Meng. Elvis hugged Gu Meng Meng tightly in his arms. His entire body was trembling and his consciousness was slowly fading away. All that was left was his primitive desire. "If only I am not a beast king, then you can knock me out like how you did with Leah. At least I will not hurt you." Xiao Meng, Xiao Meng, Gu Meng Meng took the initiative to kiss Elvis's lips and forced a calm smile. "It's all right, nothing will happen to you. Was it just the fox seductive fragrance? You just want me, don't you? I'll give it to you. I'll satisfy you. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't worry, okay?" Elvis's eyes were bloodshot as he hugged Gu Meng Meng tightly. On one hand, it was to appease his own emotions, and on the other hand, it was to restrict himself from doing anything more overboard. He clenched his teeth and said, "I can't have you in this situation. I can't control myself, you will get hurt. If I want to hurt you, I'd rather you cut out my heart and kill me now. It's not that serious, hubby. It's okay, it's just mating. We're partners. It's normal for me to mate with you. I trust you. You won't hurt me." Moreover, it did not matter even if he was injured or in pain. As long as she endured it, Elvis would regain his consciousness once the effects of the fox seductive fragrance on him wore off. He would not kill her after all. Chapter 1338. Once the wall collapsed, a huge layer of snow poured into the stone castle, almost burying Gu Meng Meng alive. This change was too sudden and Gu Meng Meng stood rooted to the ground, not knowing how to react. However, in a split second, a black shadow came over and Gu Meng Meng felt that she was being protected by something. Then, she heard the sound of snow crashing down. Gu Meng Meng did not regain her senses for a long time, until a familiar voice came from above her head, "Scared silly." Gu Meng Meng looked up and stared blankly for a while, before saying, "Gregory. Gregory. Didn't you return to Moda Mountains? Why are you here?" Gregory sighed and did not answer Gu Meng Meng's question. Instead, he opened his wings forcefully and pushed the accumulated snow to the sides. Gu Meng Meng then realized that Gregory had wrapped his wings around her, using his body as a bomb shelter to protect her. Before she could thank him, Gu Meng Meng hurriedly dug the snow at the side, shouting as she dug, "Elvis! Elvis! Leah! Leah!" Gregory did not say a word and just used his wings to sweep the snow away for her. Then, he pulled out the unconscious Elvis and Leah from the snow. "It's not safe to stay here for long, do you have any other plans?" Gregory looked at Gu Meng Meng and asked. Gu Meng Meng hesitated for a while. She wanted to say that she could return to Saint Nazaire, but the snow had been falling for almost a month and Saint Nazaire had long been buried in the snow. Not to mention that Gregory did not know where Saint Nazaire was. Even if he knew, she would not be able to find her cave in the snow. Gregory looked at Gu Mingming's hesitant look and asked, "Why not? Follow me to Moda Mountains." Gu Mengmeng looked up at Gregory and asked, "Can I?" Gregory chuckled and said, "Aren't you the messenger of the beast deity? Aren't the rules set by you in the beast world?" Gu Mengmeng smiled helplessly. The situation before her was really terrible enough. No matter how she looked at it, she looked like a downtrodden Cinderella. How did she look like the high and mighty messenger of the beast deity? Raising her head, Gu Mengmeng combed her messy hair and patted the beast skin on her, saying, "Yes, I am the messenger of the beast deity. I set the rules in the beast world. If the beast deity gets angry because you brought me up the mountain without permission, I'll take the blame. After all, I'm the only daughter of the beast deity. My father will always open the back door for me." Gregory stretched out his hand, wanting to touch Gu Mingming's head, but his hand froze in mid-air and did not touch her. He turned around and landed by his side, then turned around and spread his wings, saying, "Come up." Gu Mengmeng was a little hesitant. This isn't good, right? Being on the back was a very sacred ritual. In the relationship between the sexes in the beast world, a male's last dignity was his own back. Many males would die for their female without blinking an eye, but they would never allow her to ride on their backs. Sandy and Colin had been partners for several years, but until now, Colin had never carried Sandy on his back. Ian had carried Gu Mengmeng on his back once and almost threatened to kill himself to make Gu Mengmeng swear not to tell anyone about it. Chapter 1339. Gu Mengmeng was extremely cold. Under such circumstances, she could not continue being unreasonable. If she hesitated any longer, she would not need to ascend the Moda Mountains as she would be frozen into a human-shaped popsicle. Hence, Gu Mengmeng climbed onto Gregory's back without another word. Gregory waited for Gu Mengmeng to settle down before transforming into his beast form and soaring into the sky. After transforming into a beast, Gregory's body was covered with a layer of feathers. Gu Mengmeng sank into his feathers and she could feel Gregory's body temperature through the layer of fine fur. The first time he flapped his wings, Gu Mengmeng could feel the strong and forceful movement of the muscles on his back. There was a feeling of clogging in her ears, probably caused by the sudden increase in air pressure. It was similar to the feeling when sitting on a plane. Gu Mengmeng did not know how high up in the sky she was, nor did she know which tribe she was standing on. She was clearly not very familiar with Gregory, but such a broad back undeniably gave Gu Mengmeng a sense of security. Gu Mengmeng laid her face sideways on Gregory's back. As it was really too cold outside, she could only keep moving closer to him, seeking the warmth from his body. Such behavior was not appropriate, but Gu Mengmeng could not withstand the cold, nor could she resist the temptation of warmth. Biting her lower lip, Gu Mengmeng said, "That. Gregory, don't worry. I will definitely not tell anyone about me being on your back. If one day someone finds out and other females find you unfaithful, I will take responsibility and introduce you to a wife." Gregory's eyes darkened. Luckily he was in his beast form now and Gu Mengmeng could not see his expression, so he could try his best to be sad and upset. He really wanted to tell her that being responsible was not this way. His back could only accommodate her alone. If she really wanted to take responsibility for him, she should have taken him in as a partner. But he could not say that, right? If he said it, she might just run away. He should be content with the current situation. At least, he had played the role of her hero when she was in danger. She was lying on his back now, soft and light. Every breath she took was like a light tap on his heart, making his blood boil. She must not know that the warmth she was craving now was all because of her. After flying for a full 3 days and 3 nights, Gregory stopped at the edge of a cave on a cliff. Gu Mengmeng finally landed on the ground. She could not even stand properly and sat down at the side. Elvis and Leah had already woken up halfway through the journey, but they did not speak. Both of them saw Gu Meng Meng coming down from Gregory's back, but chose to ignore it as if they had a tacit understanding. When Joshua and Victor confessed to Gu Meng Meng, the two of them could question Gu Meng Meng in a fit of jealousy because they knew very well that Gu Meng Meng did not fancy those two fellows. So no matter how they asked, they would only get the answer they wanted. But Gregory was different. His looks did not lose to Leah and his abilities did not lose to Elvis. With his physique, it was very likely that he would rise 2 levels after mating. This kind of love rival was not to be underestimated. Elvis and Leah were both extremely afraid of hearing Gu Meng Meng's affirmation, so they chose not to ask. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.